Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the VOR iRacing IndyCar Sprint Series. It's been an off week, but we are finally back here at Brands Hatch, the full Grand Prix layout of the circuit in the UK. Here you can see the track. It's got a lot of elevation changes, as is obvious to the naked eye immediately. I am Julien Altena, as always, bringing you coverage of tonight's sprint racing action. Hopefully the sim holds out. We've had some connection troubles getting into the session, so hopefully it all holds out and we can actually witness the race. So as usual, one lap qualifier or 5 minutes. The race is expected to be 26 laps or 30 minutes. And as I expected, of course that could change with the time limit in place for this race. Standing starts and one additional tire set for the race. Of course, drivers do not have a mandatory switch to a different compound. They can use the same compound twice if they want to. So that will make the strategy pretty interesting. Qualifying currently underway. Let's take a quick look at the championship standings going into this race. As you can see, Liam O'Sullivan leads it by 5 points over Adam Stade, who won last week. 2 weeks ago, I should say, at the Indy Oval. And I'm going to make this mistake quite often. If I say last week, I really mean 2 weeks ago, the last race at the Indy Oval. So Adam Stade second, Nathan Moore, his teammate from WSR eSports butt kicker, in the third position, just 3 further points back, and then we have Archie Coveney and Patrick Zilvassi rounding off the top 5. So then we go into the schedules really quickly. First up is the main IndyCar series. We got the Poconos 350 coming up next Saturday on October 19th, before the final 4 races at Kentucky, Phoenix, Detroit, and Las Vegas. Moving on to the Iconic series, we got the same tracks coming up except Detroit, which is replaced by Michigan. Of course, the Iconic series on ovals only. And then the remainder of our Season 2 schedule for the Sprint series. The Red Bull Ring is up next week. And now we have something very exciting for you guys. We have next season's sprint schedule. The lap counts are still subject to change due to any format changes that might be incoming. We'll have to wait and see what we decide over there. But the season starts on November 7th at Texas Motor Speedway, the first and only oval. Then we go to Fuji and the Nürburgring before we have our traditional mid-season off week. Before we return to Belle Isle on December 5th, Monza on December 12th, and Interlagos on December 19th. So that's going to bring us to our sponsor for today's race. It's Hand in Hand, and Liam O'Sullivan is the person behind sponsorship for this race. Hand in Hand is a children's charity that has saved over 2,000 lives over the last 20 years by taking them from moments of crisis to funding them all the way through to university in countries spanning all across Africa. The funds raised by this charity go to local communities and improving the education and welfare sectors in such countries. You can donate through the Hand in Hand website, or if you want to hear from first hand about the work of the charity, get in touch with Liam O'Sullivan over Discord. His Discord username is, as I have to disable streamer mode really quickly, Liam O'Sullivan without the apostrophe in his name. So just Liam O'Sullivan, one word basically. So we have 2 minutes left in qualifications for this race, as Adam Stade is on the provisional pole, as iRacing at the moment is doing its job, which is great. Let's see if we have any drivers we can spectate. ATVO is not really working today. But that's just a great start, isn't it? So yeah, a lot of technical difficulties in the last few weeks, really. I'm not sure what it's all down to with iRacing and everything that's going on, but we'll try to make the most of it if we can. And it looks like I'm gonna have to refresh my streaming softwares and everything. So I will go ahead and do that really quickly, see if it pops everything back up into place. And at least I have more on this screen now than I did before. There we go. And we see a car on the track. That would be really nice. There we go. So this is a new driver to the series. We've got Luke Hilton in his Arrow McLaren number 42, making his first start today. As he spins it on his first and only qualifying lap, so that will not be the qualifying result that he had hoped for. As Nathan Moore slows it down as well. Ben Mulryan is still on our lap. Let's see what he is up to. In the middle part of the lap and goes off the track, and that's going to invalidate his run. So that appears to be qualifying over. So before we dive into the race, it should probably be mentioned that this track is extremely difficult to navigate. You can already see the elevation changes from even the aerial shot right here. Of course, this track barely has any runoff areas, and it's a very high speed corner. So that means you have to go a very high speed track, I should say. So every corner is full commitment. And it's very easy to make a mistake. If you can pay attention to the car loop sponsorship next to the ticker, there is no curbs there, there's no runoff, so you're pretty much braking next to the grass. And if you get even a little bit offline and onto the grass, you're going to go for a spin. So make sure to watch that during the race today. As we get set to go here at Brands Hatch for the hand-in-hand 100, 89 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature, which is about 29 degrees Celsius, and 71 degrees is about 24 degrees Celsius on the air temperature. So if you're new to the series, we have standing starts for this series. So let's see what they can do. As we wait for the final few cars to grid up for the race. Looks like one car left to grid. There we go. So the front row is complete. And we're about to get ready and going for the hand-in-hand 100 and Brands Hatch. Lights are coming on. And the fourth round of the season is underway, and that's a terrible start by Adam State. He gets swamped by the whole field going into the first corner. To go into Droots now, and I have to really pay attention to all the corner names. There we have Patrick Silvassi on the outside of Tijn van der Velde. The two going side by side down into turn 4. Still side by side going down to Surtees corner. As we already have the first car around, that's the 58 of Ben Mulryan. As down the hill the field comes. Nathan Moore still out in front. Jack James up to second place now. As Adam State looking to claw back his early loss at the start of the race as we come to the completion of lap number 1. So State drops all the way from 2nd to 6th with that terrible launch off the line. As you see Dave Stedman and Jorge Martinez battling for position. Dave Stedman holds off Martinez for now, as Tijn van der Velde on the outside of Adam State. State having a look, but not much more than that. Going to try to do the crossover and gets a very neat move down the inside. I think it's pretty self-explanatory that he's going to pull it off because the inside line here is dominant. And yes, there we go. He has the corner. Nothing Tijn can really do, as Adam State now back up to P5, as Liam O'Sullivan, Patrick Silvassi, Adam State and Tijn van der Velde, all 4 of them on the push to pass, which we can now finally see on the overlay. Jorge Martinez right on the back of Dave Stedman. You can just see the commitment through every one of those corners. Like I mentioned in the pre-race, it's a very high commitment, high speed track. Making a mistake is in the tightest of corners. Quite literally. As we are on lap number 3 already, so laps here click off very quickly. You're lapping this track around 1 minute 10 seconds, I would say. As we follow Liam O'Sullivan, championship leader. Only a few points ahead of Nathan Moore and Adam State, so Nathan Moore currently doing what he needs to do. Of course, Nathan is third in the championship, needs to make up as much ground as he can, which he is indeed doing right now by being in the lead. Patrick Silvassi a little bit offline, right behind Liam. Liam dropping back a little bit from Jack James, so the top two are running away with it at the moment. As Silvassi might be under threat for P4 by Adam State. There he is. Adam State, part of the WSR eSports butt kicker team. I would say an up-and-coming IndyCar team. Made a big and good challenge as well to getting into the IndyCar Pro Series. Didn't quite make it, but they came really close to it. So do not count these guys out whatsoever. As State dives down the inside quite aggressively. Patrick, surprised a little bit by it, makes room to not cause an accident and gives up the position. So move Adam State up into P4. As Liam O'Sullivan has pulled away from that battle now a little bit. Jorge Marquinez right on the back of Oliver Cotton. So they got by Dave Stedman, and I would assume he either made a pit stop or a mistake. I want to say it's the latter one because this track is just so difficult to navigate. I did a few laps myself here 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you I am super glad I am not the one driving this. So Marquinez saving his push to pass a little bit, it seems. Look at Marquinez just committing to turn 1. Goes down the inside here for turn 2. On Oliver Cotton and gets the position. Oh, there we go. Yeah, now he gets it. I thought Cotton was going to challenge him a little bit in the turn 3, but he decided better against it. Luke Hilton, after that bad qualifying performance, of course spun on his one and only lap, has gotten up into P9, so he's cracked the top 10. Decent enough start for him in his first start in the series. As Adam State now really catching up to the top 3 positions. Liam O'Sullivan, race sponsor today, not having his usual form here at this track, which is surprising, considering Liam sponsors this race and therefore picked the track as well. Let's see if he can hold on to that podium spot. Of course, State trying to make up a few points on Liam in the championship, so it helps if you're the guy chasing both on the points championship and also on the racetrack versus the guy who is defending. Puts a little bit less pressure on the attacking driver is what I'm trying to go at. So Adam State can afford to be a little bit more aggressive than Liam. Liam most likely gonna try to protect his points lead after this race, as we have about 20 laps remaining. I have to say, this track is really putting on some decent racing though, as State really closes up to Liam now. You can just see how gelled Adam State really is with the track right now. He's just able to commit to those corners better than anybody we've seen so far, at least on camera anyway. As he is on the button now, gonna really close up to Liam now, who is not using push to pass until now. Let's go on board with a nose cam for Adam State to just see the elevation changes here. As you can also really see the closing rate to Liam. Now he gets a really good run. He's on the button. He's gonna go to the inside, pull off a similar move to what Silvassi was done to earlier. Liam goes out way too wide and loses the position. So Adam State back up into the podium paying positions. as he is now going to try to chase down Jack James running in second in the Prey.com 53 AJ Foyt Racing livery. And Nathan Moore really pulling away now. The gap was under a second a few laps ago at the start of the race, of course. Those two ran nose to tail pretty much, but now the gap is almost 2 seconds. So here he is, race leader Nathan Moore, currently controlling the pace as Adam State on the button trying to close the gap to Jack James. Tijn van der Velde has gone out of the race, and so has Mike Wayne Robinson. Not sure what happened to both those drivers. We'll take a look at that in just a moment as the battle for second is slowly heating up, and you can just see all the track surface being used by all the drivers here, which all comes back to that high speed, high commitment philosophy of this circuit. Of course, Indy cars, or be it Champ cars I should say, last race here in 2003, and if you ask me if they raced there any time before that, I really wouldn't know. You'd have to ask Liam or Gary Gotso, two members of Velocity Online Racing on the broadcast or driving side, as State really closed up again there to Jack James. I think this is pretty much a done deal already down the front straight. It's just an overtake waiting to happen with the pace that State has in that car. Is he going to go both for the inside or the outside here for turn 1? No, he's going to decide against it. Turn 1 is generally not really an overtaking space unless you're already alongside. James covering the inside for turn 2. State looking to the outside, not able to make anything work. State gonna try to do the crossover, gets a really nice exit now. Both drivers on the push to pass. James on the push to defend. State looking for the outside, but he knows that that's not an overtaking opportunity as he gets a really nice run with the momentum off the corner again. Trying to set up a switchback, but Jack James, I think, knows Adam State longer than a day. So he knows that he's going to try to do that. Covers it off beautifully. This only allows Nathan Moore to extend the gap to 3.3 seconds now though. Liam O'Sullivan not really able to catch back up. So this is just a 2-horse race for second. With 17 laps to go at the line. Stay to the outside. Again trying to make a crossover, but all he can really do is have a look, and it's not much more than that at the moment. So Jack James currently in the second position after starting third. Of course, we also know that Adam State started from the outside of the front row. And there you can actually see it. Ran as low as 6th after that opening lap, has clawed his way all the way back to third now again. And what has to be said is a track that is known to be difficult to pass on, so good on State and his setup. He's really able to put his car anywhere he wants, and even into the pit lane. So just before halfway, State is the first to blink and come into the pits. Now, what compound of tire will he go to? I'm assuming it will be another set of the red compound. Can't quite see it from this angle, but we'll find out in just a second. As we have... who is that? Is that Hilton? I think it is Hilton in the pits. And yes, it is another set of red compound tires for Adam State. Nathan Moore putting Dave Stedman a lap down now. As Luke Hilton has also pitted, he has moved down to P11. Of course, he is one of the few that pitted already, so take that with a grain of salt. As Silvassi is right on the back of Liam O'Sullivan now. Battle for that final podium spot. As Liam is now going to dive into pit lane, reacting to Adam State doing the one lap overcut, which I heard is the preferred strategy over everybody else. But now Patrick, of course, is going to do that overcut on Liam as well. So it will be interesting to see how this all shakes out. And in the meantime, Jorge Marquinez has caught back up to Patrick as well. Of course, Marquinez started way down in the field. Currently running fourth, but of course that's during the pit cycle. As State has actually quite comfortably jumped Liam, so... oh, Liam is still in the pits. I think he got a speeding penalty or an unsafe pit entry. Because he is not moving, so take Liam O'Sullivan out of the equation. That's going to move Patrick and State up to third and fourth, whichever order that is. We'll have to find out in a few moments. Let's see if Patrick is going to dive into pit lane this time around. Nathan Moore has got his lead up to 4.8 seconds across the line now, as Patrick Savassi does indeed come down to pit lane. Red tires coming off and a new set of reds going on. So again, it's a red strategy for all these drivers. As Patrick is off and away. And State has already got him by multiple seconds. Wow, okay, I did not see that one coming. So State back to third, and that now leaves Nathan Moore and Jack James, the only two cars still out on the track. On board with Nathan Moore. Has currently led all of the 13 laps. So Nathan pulling into the pits, and he's already racked up a penalty point for a pit lane violation, I should add. But anyway, Nathan Moore has got the gap, and he will be off and away with another set of Firestone red tires. So he will now look to get these tires up to temperature and continue where he left off by dominating the race. So that will hand the lead over to Jack James, getting a lap lead in the books. It's not worth any bonus points in this series, unfortunately for him, as he really seems to be struggling with the rear. Sliding around quite a bit, it seemed. Will he come down into the pits this time around? We are halfway into the race. 14 laps in of 26. As State and Moore nose to tail, the two teammates. And we did see briefly Jack James dive into pit lane. So let's see where he rejoins in relation to those two WSR eSports butt kicker drivers. Of course, we know Liam O'Sullivan sped into the pits or something of that nature. Don't think Jack James had the same fate as he rejoins in the third position. So the two WSR eSports butt kicker drivers comfortably undercutting him. As we have a car off the track there, it's hard to tell who it is. It's one of the many black cars in the field. Let's see if we can find out what happened. Oh, Jack James may have had an off coming out of the pits. Did he spin the rears? Yes, he did. Spins around in turn 1 coming out of the pits, and that is his day done. Unfortunate, running second to Nathan Moore, I should say, sorry. And, oh. Wow. That is a pretty hard hit for Luke Hilton. Yeah, we have to go back a little bit further to see what happens. Can we stop here, please? Thank you. Alright, let's take a quick onboard look here. From what it seemed like, it was a hardware failure on the pedal side, and I think he already knows it because he's slowing down here quite a bit. Bit difficult to tell. Might also be a bit of frustration there for getting a few more off tracks than he needs to. So that is day done for Hilton, Moraine, Van der Velde, Robinson, and also Jack James. So back to the front of the field, it is still Nathan Moore out in the lead, held off Adam State, who undercut his teammate by a few laps. Had with warmer tires coming out of the pits, but Nathan Moore was able to hold on with the track position. Of course, it's difficult to pass here. It's not impossible though, like we've seen plenty of times already today. So move Patrick Silvassi up to the third position now, rounding off the podium after Liam O'Sullivan had his penalty. And of course, Jack James went off in turn 1 on cold tires. So good on Patrick. He is on a streak of podiums on road courses recently in the IndyCar series, and looking to back that up with another podium here in this series. So Cotton pitted a few laps ago. He was one of the drivers who had an incident late in the race 2 weeks ago at Indy. Was one of the people who got a penalty for bringing out a caution as a result of a cell spin. And Archie Coveney was supposed to be here tonight. He is gonna have to serve a pit lane start penalty for reaching 5 penalty points. For those who are interested, Coveney is the one who has the most penalty points at the moment with 5. Adam State and Tijn van der Velde are both tied to 4 penalty points. Oliver Cottam has 3 points, Jorge McKean has 2, as does Nodibe Emmel, who we haven't seen in a few weeks here. Hopefully he returns next week at the Red Bull Ring. Mike Wayne Robinson and Jensen O'Neill going, and Alrik van der Bos all have 1 penalty point each. If you reach 5 penalty points, it's a pit lane start. If you reach 10 penalty points, it's a suspension. And if you reach 15 points, you are removed from the league. So for those who were interested in that penalty system, now you know. As currently the field's pretty spread out at the moment, so that will give us some time to briefly mention our sponsor for today's race. In partnership with Liam O'Sullivan, that is. Hand in Hand is the naming sponsor of tonight's race. Hand in Hand is a children's charity that has saved over 2,000 lives over the last 20 years by taking them from moments of crisis to funding them all the way through to university in countries spanning all across Africa. The funds raised by this charity go to local communities and improving the education and welfare sectors in such countries. You can donate through the Hand in Hand website, or if you want to hear from first hand about the work of the charity, to get in touch with Liam O'Sullivan over Discord, you can get to learn more. The website is handinhand.org.uk if you want more information. So we have 8 laps to go in this race. Let's see how much time we have left. A little under 9 minutes. So it looks like we will get this race in pretty comfortably, as we have 8 laps to go for your race leader, Nathan Moore. And that's the wrong driver I selected. There we have him. So may I remind everybody of the points situation entering this race. There you can see it. Liam O'Sullivan 5 over Adam State and 8 over Nathan Moore. Of course, Liam has a pretty bad day at the moment, running in 6th. So both Moore and State making up ground in the points, as we have 7 laps to go now. Let's take a lap of honor, I guess you could say, with the currently dominant driver in the field, Nathan Moore. Oh, there's the first mistake we've seen all day by Nathan Moore. I believe trying to go for the fastest lap of the race. Just overstepping his line a little bit there. And I would tell you which corner it is, but I frankly don't know. I'm not familiar with Brands Hatch whatsoever. It's not one of those tracks I watch racing on much, if anything at all, to be honest. The only way I know really Brands Hatch is from, of course, the Champ Car races. Or race, I should say. And the movie Rush. For those who haven't seen it, by the way, get under that rock. Get away under that rock. And watch it. It's one of the best Formula 1 movies of all time, in my opinion. Let's see if we have anything in the replay machine that we can show. As we are just clicking off laps at the moment, I don't expect the two WSR eSports butt kicker drivers to change positions to the end of the race unless Nathan Moore makes a catastrophic mistake. Which I don't see happening either, to be honest. I think he he got his warning by going off the track a little bit. So going to lap 17. Liam O'Sullivan chasing down Dave Stedman, pulls to the inside, gets up into P6 again. Pretty neat move, as Patrick Zavassi also gets around, but of course Liam and Stedman both are lapped down now, so Patrick lapping them. A little bit further back, this was Liam making a move on Pim van Gastel, and yeah, I think he just moves over, lifts off the throttle. He knows that this is not his fight. And Liam moves up into P7 at the time. 5 more laps to go. Let's see the push to pass remaining for all these drivers. I think this is pretty interesting to look at. So Nathan Moore has saved up his stuff. He's got 50 seconds left. Adam State 5. Patrick Silvassi has the most of anyone in the top 6 at the moment with 96. Jorge Marquinez with 38. Oliver Cotton with 57. And Liam has burned through all of it. Pim van Gastel I don't think has binded a push to pass button. So he has not used any. Can't use it if you don't have a button for it on the wheel. So closing in on 3 laps to go. Adam State putting a little bit of pressure on his teammate now, Nathan Moore. We know those two drivers like to race. They're reasonable anyway. And one can only hope for those two drivers that they keep it together here on this tight and twisty circuit as well. So Jack James, 8 laps down in 9th. I don't think he's going to go back out again, to be honest. So Nathan Moore using up his final bits of push to pass to defend and try and help maintain the gap to his teammate. Adam State we know only has 5 seconds left. So he will have to use those very wisely indeed. And I hate to say it, but I think I know who is going to win this race. With a little bit over 2 laps to go. So as we have 2 laps to go, let's take a quick look through the field before we close this one off. Starting with your race leader, has run first all day long. He got the lead as soon as Adam State lost traction of the line. Of course, we all know what happened to State. Dropped all the way down to P6. Climbed his way back up pretty quickly and impressively as well to third and then to second. Patrick Silvassi started from the 5th position. Of course, he was one of the drivers who capitalized on that mistake from State of the line. Ran as high as third and is currently running third as well. Jorge Marquinez was one of the drivers who started way back in the field in 11th position. He has gained 7 spots to P4. Oliver Cottam started 8th, currently in 5th. Liam O'Sullivan got a penalty for either an unsafe or too fast entering the pits. Currently running 6th, started 4th, ran as high as 3rd, lowest is 9th position. And then we have Stedman, Van Gastel, James and Hilton running off the top 10 in the race. Back up to the front of the field, we are on the final lap of the race. The final lap in the hand-in-hand 100. Again, if you want to know more or the option to donate to the hand-in-hand charity, go to handinhand.org.uk and you can find all the information and all the links that you could possibly need right over there. And I want to thank Liam as well for helping the league out and getting the word out as well about that. As with many other causes, such as the Alzheimer's Association, for example. But anyway, we got one more corner to go for a WSR Esports Butt Kicker 1-2. Nathan Moore has led all of the laps bar 1 during the pit cycle, and he is going to go to victory lane here at Brands Hatch. Teammate Adam State finishes in 2nd position, and Patrick Silvassi is going to come home in 3rd position. There he is in his Team Watson Racing number 17. And I have to say, for Brands Hatch, this actually was not that bad of a race. So congratulations to WSR Esports Butt Kicker on their 1-2 finish. And I have to say, these sprint races in VOR never disappoint. Even Brands Hatch put on a good race. So I'll put out a reminder, everybody. If you want to get involved in the finale next week at the Red Bull Ring, you can do so. 24 laps on the menu. This series is free to enter. The last race of the season is also open setups before we move to fixed setups for the Season 3 schedule, which kicks off at Texas on November 7th in a little bit less than a month from now. So if you want to get involved for next week or just next season, either or is fine. Both are free to enter, of course. This series is always free to enter. You can earn a free entry into the IndyCar main series, which runs on Saturdays. There you have it, 5 races to go. Pocono is up next on October 19th. And Las Vegas to close out that campaign. So once again, if you want to join any of our series, including the DW12s on Friday, make sure to join the Discord and sign up. So it looks like everybody has crossed the line. Let's bring up your race results for tonight's race. The hand-in-hand 100. Nathan Moore wins it by 0.3 of a second over Adam State. Great 1-2 finish for those two guys. Patrick Silvassi comes home to complete the podium, a little less than 13 seconds behind. Jorge Marquinez comes from 11th to 4th. Oliver Cottam runs off the top 5 and the last car on the lead lap as well. Then all the drivers who were either one lap down or out of the race were Liam O'Sullivan, Dave Stedman, Pim van Gastel, Jack James and Luke Hilton, who complete the top 10. And then the final drivers, all retirees of tonight's race. Ben Mo Ryan, Tijn van der Velde and Mike Wayne Robinson. So race results are now official on iRacing as well, and I will take this opportunity to really quickly update the championship standings before we move over to the waiting room, as we already do have a few names waiting. So going into the final race of the season next week, it will be a championship fight between the two WSR Esports butt kicker drivers, Nathan Moore and Adam State. Nathan Moore, 73 points, 6 points over Adam State with 67. And of course, as expected, Liam O'Sullivan drops to 61 points, 12 points behind the leader. He is still in contention for the championship, but it is highly unlikely, assuming that Moore and State will at least show up. So it's going to be a tall task for Liam. I think it will be between Nathan Moore and Adam State. But let's move on to the podium interviews, as we will prepare some replays and then get talking to the top three. So before we do that, again, a reminder, the schedule for the Season 3 of the Sprint Series, which starts on November 7th at Texas, then moving on to Fuji, Nürburgring, Belle Isle, Monza, and Interlagos to close out the season. So we got the replays turned up. And let's get talking to some of the people. So let's get talking to Patrick first. Hi, Patrick. Congratulations on your P3 finish. Just tell us about your start on the first lap, which looked pretty good to me, and also your brief battle with the guys around you.
Yeah, dankjewel, first of all. I finally made it here. I almost made it at Zandvoort, but for obvious reasons I didn't. So yeah, I'm glad that I finally made it here. Yeah, start was pretty good. I think car felt really good at the start. I almost sent it on Jack as well, but obviously I didn't have the courage to send it. And as we know, the tires are brick at lap 1. So yeah. Liam passed me in Druids, I think. Then Tyne was obviously impatient behind me and he tried to send it, but he didn't at the end. And then, yeah, I actually had a really good pace, I think, that I kept up with the guys in front of me. Obviously, Adam came and he just passed away, everything. And then, obviously, the pit cycle came. Liam got a penalty for pit entry, then Jack spun in front of me on his outlap. So, basically, the whole race was just controlling the gap between me and Jorge. So, yeah. But, I mean, I'm really happy. I think I was in contention to get a podium on pace alone. I think I had the pace, but I mean, I still made it, so I'm glad that I made it.
Yeah, you did a great job. Just tell me as well, how difficult was this track to learn with this car? Because I don't think we have ever driven this track with this car in the league.
I mean, the fastest car that I've driven on iRacing was the Indy Pro, but I've actually driven it with F1 2013, and yeah, that was too fast for that. So, I mean, the combo is actually alright. I wouldn't say that I'm not a big fan of brands, but it's actually better in sports cars, I would say. Maybe with the slower single seaters as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, it's alright. So it's getting a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, I forgot to bring that up, but this track was indeed an F1 2013, and it's a good thing that in that game you actually had grip on the grass and you don't hear.
I mean, I was struggling with the off track so much, like even in practice. So, and then here in the race to keep the momentum and not get off track. And you know how the pogo stick suspension on the curves at the back part of the track was nah. So yeah, I was struggling with a bit, but yeah, it's alright. I've enjoyed that. So even though that I was sort of a bubble for the second half of the race, it was alright. So I'm really happy with the P3.
If I can quickly give you some setup advice, if you're bouncing around too much, try lowering the spring rates on the rear a little bit. They might help.
Have you heard? Have you heard about that? I never change any setups. Like I'm really bad at doing adjusting setups in general. So I basically load it in and just drive.
Just click and see where you end up. That's all you have to do.
I mean, it's fair, but yeah, I still prefer to drive it how it is and then adapt. So yeah,
That's fair. Hey, at least the setups are going to switch to fix next season, so that will.
yeah. I'm actually
hopefully.
really looking forward to fix next season.
All right. Well, before I let you go, any people you want to shout out, Patrick?
Yeah, TWR as always. Thanks everyone. Red Bull Ring next. I'm really looking forward to it. Season 8 was a really good race for me back in the day. So I'm hoping for the best actually for Red Bull Ring. So we will see.
Hopefully with more cars as well. I remember that race. It was pretty boring from my end.
Yeah, it was a boring race. I was actually watching Will's back, basically not the entire race, but he was in a reaching distance.
Yeah, Will dominated that race, and I can't remember who was second anymore. It might have even been me, to be honest, but I can't remember.
I can't
I just
remember
know
either who was second.
I just know that we were barely able to overtake. But the sprint series never disappoints, so we'll find out how it
Yeah,
races next week. But
yeah, we will see.
thanks a lot, Patrick, and see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Bye bye. Good night.
All right, that was Patrick. Let's bring in Adam State. Hello, Adam. Congratulations on a comeback drive to second. Not the result you had hoped for. Just tell us what happened at the start and how you clawed your way back up through the field.
Yeah, it wasn't my proudest moment getting away from the line. I knew with the way Brands Hatch is with kind of basically starting on a hill, you needed a lot of clutch to make sure you didn't spin the tires. Turns out I took too much clutch on, and then when I tried to release it, I spun the tires. So it didn't go to plan. But no, the setup work over the last few days to get ready for this proved invaluable because car was really good and well planted, and I was just able to kind of climb my way through the fields and work the tyres well in order to get the undercut and almost get Nathan. If I had about 2 more laps, I might have got him.
Yeah, that undercut strategy was one of the more interesting strategies I saw today because I was expecting the overcut to be really powerful here. Was that in your mind as well, or did you just know going in that the undercut was going to be the way to go?
I knew with the undercut, once you get into a stint, it was about I could do probably a high 6 compared to the low 8s we were running kind of mid-stint. So I knew as long as I got kind of 2 or 3 laps before everyone pitted, I had a chance of getting an undercut because with the cold tyres, it's quite hard to get the lap time. But gladly, I just got a bit lucky that people didn't react as quickly as they could have done, and it kind of gave me the leapfrog to get behind Nathan, and then it was just kind of saving tyres and hoping that seeing if Nathan would push too hard. But sadly, he managed it well.
Yeah, I think the rest of the field was more focused on keeping it on the track, considering how different of a league you guys were in, just running away at the front of the field. So great job again today. The championship is wide open between you two, your team. Any insight you can give us into how that's going to play out next week? Any inter-team plans or whatever you can share with us?
We race each other hard. We race each other fair. We'll continue to do that. Leon is still in the fight, so we can't discount him if we decide to go too hard on each other like Verstappen and Norris at Red Bull Ring. But we'll see how it goes. Depending on how I feel, I might try and lead Nathan in the wrong direction with the setup. But we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, before I let you go, any shout outs before I let you go and celebrate your great 1-2 finish with your teammate?
No, say thanks to the team as always. Thanks to Butt Kicker and Next Level Racing, our main sponsors. And just hoping we had a nice fair fight into Red Bull Ring for the last round of the season.
Perfect. All right. We'll see you next week then.
Perfect. Cheers.
Bye-bye. All right. That was Adam State finishing second. Let's bring in Nathan Moore. Hello, Nathan. How are you doing? Great race from you today.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. It was a tough one with my teammate towards the end. I think he was definitely the faster of us two over a full race. But luckily for me, unfortunately, he got a bad start. And then I was able to just somehow put it on pole, lead the race, and just basically control the pace from there. So it was a good one.
Interesting. My overlay says you qualified second, but it might as well have been pole because Adam State
No, I was on pole, yeah.
Oh, really? Then my overlay must have been wrong, or I just need to get different glasses then because I couldn't read. I don't know. I could swear I saw your name in second place on the starting grid. But anyway, going into the final race of the season next weekend, or next Thursday, I should say, not next weekend, at the Red Bull Ring. I have two questions for you. Your thoughts on the Red Bull Ring with this car, and also how are you going to treat your championship fight with your teammate, and also knowing that Liam may or may not be in the picture. I mean, all three of you guys are British, but Liam is probably going to find a way to Lando Norris it on the first lap. So just tell us how you feel and what to expect next week as well.
Next week's gonna be interesting. Red Bull Ring. It's especially in these Indy cars, it's more or less a draft track. I would say if you're similar pace to someone. So it's all about it's more about strategy, I think, rather than actual raw speed. Next week, it's when do you pit, when do you stay out, looking after the tires, all that stuff, and keeping the car in one piece, especially heading into a tricky turn one. So it's gonna be a lot of fun next week, and all three of us in the championship fight. It should be a good one.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, you guys and your team are as well. Hopefully, we don't see any fireworks, but we have to tease the viewers. Maybe we'll see fireworks, and we might have to bring out the Nico Rosberg meme. But anyway, um, before I let you go, any shout outs?
No, not in particular. Just to you guys again. It's been a great season. Thank you for organizing the series, and just next week should be very entertaining for both the spectators and us drivers, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right. We'll see you next week then, Nathan. Go ahead and celebrate.
Thank you.
All right. That's it for the race tonight. Before we go off, I quickly want to thank Liam once again for sponsoring the race with Hand in Hand. Hand in Hand is a children's charity that has saved over 2,000 lives over the last 20 years by taking them from moments of crisis to funding them all the way through to university in countries spanning all across Africa. The funds raised by the charity go to local communities and improving the education and welfare sectors in such countries. You can donate through the Hand in Hand website at handinhand.org.uk, or if you want to hear from first hand about the work of the charity, get in touch with Liam O'Sullivan over Discord. Liam's Discord name is Liam O'Sullivan, all in one word, so no apostrophes, just Liam O'Sullivan. So that's going to wrap it up for us here tonight. Of course, next week, the season finale at the Red Bull Ring championship fight, realistically, between the WSR eSports butt kicker drivers of Adam State and Nathan Moore. Liam O'Sullivan does have an outside shot at it, so we'll find out if he can make anything happen there. It's going to be interesting for sure. We'll be back here at 8 p.m. UK time next week to crown a champion. Hopefully you join us. For now, thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next week from, as I said, the Red Bull Ring.